Hello, update 2.2 for the common test was released last week, and with it came a lot of new features. And in this video, we're going to go through them and see what has changed and if it's actually good or bad for the game. And obviously all of this is just in my opinion. The first thing we're going to speak about is the new crew perks. First of all, this takes way too long to load in. Second of all, they all feel kind of useless. For the commander, we have Hold the Line, which increases the crew efficiency by 5% when a team has at least 3 more enemies' vehicles in the battle than yours. This is very situational, and I don't think it's going to be very useful. You then have Stay Sharp, which when fully trained increases the crew efficiency by 5% after using a medkit. You can even use the medkit when no crew members are injured. Again, I don't really see the point in this. Yes, it will give you a bonus, and it might be useful for SPGs, as other people have pointed out, but overall, not really that useful for everyone else. Moving on to the gunner perks, we have Point Blank, which increases the maximum penetration by 5% when firing within 50 meters of an enemy, which again, very situational. And most of the time, you're not going to be within 50 meters of the enemy. You're going to be at 70, maybe 100, to actually have a decent engagement. 50 meters is incredibly close, remember. You then have Lone Wolf, which decreases the gun dispersion and aiming speed by 5% when no allied vehicles are within 300 meters of your radius. I really don't see the point of this. Most of the time, 300 meters is a pretty decent distance. And most of the time, if you're not within 300 meters of an ally, you're doing something wrong, and you've probably lost the game at that point. Think about it this way. If you're in a heavy tank or a medium tank, you usually go with the others to go and battle. You don't go off on your own, because then you'll get surrounded and just die early. The only thing that this is maybe useful for is if you're a light tank, for instance. But even then, that's not really useful because it's gun dispersion and aiming speed. So I really don't see anyone picking these. Moving on to the driver, we have Field Support, which increases suspension repair speed by 15% if you have an allied vehicle within 50 meters. Why are all of these so situational? We then have Bulletproof, which increases the crew efficiency by 5% if the amount of damage block exceeds the vehicle's initial hit points. This is maybe useful, but I don't really see you picking it over what else we have here to have this. And remember, blocking damage, unless you're in very specific vehicles like a rat or a mouse, is actually not really very easy to do, especially with Armour Flashlight in the game now. Moving on to the radio operator, we have Battle Tampered, which negates the effects of stunning by 7.5% each time that you are hit by artillery, up to a maximum of 30%. Now, this might be useful, however, you have situational awareness, firefighting, and then you're going to have Brothers in Arms and repairs, meaning they're only really going to have one extra here that you will be able to choose from. And if you're in a medium tank or a light tank, you're going to take concealment. And if you're in a heavy tank, you'll probably want to take side by side. So this could be useful, and maybe some people will get some bonus out of it, but I think that a lot of people will just choose side by side at this point. Or even signal interception like I'd like to use. I mean, not on so much heavy tanks, but medium tanks I do quite enjoy that. We then have Threat Search, which increases the view range by 2% for 5 seconds after receiving the Sixth Sense alert. Now, I'm under the impression that if you then get your commander knocked out, this perk wouldn't work because you wouldn't get the Sixth Sense alert. If someone actually knows about this, then please let me know in the comments, but that's how I would assume that it works. Meaning that when you get your commander knocked out, you also knock out a radio operator perk. Again though, maybe you want to choose this on medium tanks, light tanks, that might be very useful, but overall, not so much. I mean, for medium tanks and light tanks, I'm taking Communication Expert every single time, especially if they're in that kind of style of spotting. And for the loader, we have Second Chance, which reduces the gun loading time by 2.5% for the next shell if the previous one did not cause damage to an enemy vehicle. Fair enough, this is actually not too bad. However, you need to then remember that you already have a lot of stress for the loader. Brothers in Arms, repairs, intuition, safe stowage, ammo tuning, perfect charge, even adrenaline rush, all of these a lot of players want to choose. Adding another one which players want to choose is then going to make this even worse. So maybe on this one, maybe. Although if it's between this and ammo tuning, I'm picking ammo tuning every time. However, the next one is just a flat out must have if you're an autoloader. When fully trained, decreases the magazine reload time by 2.5%. This is literally the easiest no-brainer in existence. So that means that out of all of these, the loader ones only really the ones that I would think about choosing. If I'm in an autoloader, I'm choosing Mag Mastery every single time. I maybe choose this, I don't know, but the rest of them are so situational and just kind of pointless that I'm not probably going to use them, at least after initial impressions. Maybe further down the line, I'll then learn something about the perk that is actually really useful and I might use it. But currently, looking at them, I don't see the point. Now that was everything for the new perks, but there is one existing perk that has been changed, and that is Reliable Placement. This now reduces the chance of an engine fire and increases your suspension durability by 15%. Now, if you're going to be using hardening on your vehicle, and especially if it's a heavy tank, you're probably going to want to take this. The more track health you have, the better you are going to be. However, I still think that it's pretty useless if you're not going to be taking hardening, and then buffing everything else on top of it regarding the track health, because the rest of it doesn't really do much. I mean, maybe the engine fire chance is good on Soviet mediums, etc., but not so much on other vehicles. Actually, because it's an engine fire, it's probably better to put on German vehicles. But I'm going to say it, why are we increasing the track health even more? It doesn't need it. The game is already fast enough. Players are already getting away with really dumb plays when they shouldn't be because of track health. I would love to see hardening, field mods, perks remove track health entirely from them. Let us actually go back to punishing people who sit out in the open or try and make stupid aggressive plays that shouldn't work in every single scenario, but because they're needing 4 shots to be perma-tracked, they get away with it. So reliable placement is now a must-have if you're going to be running hardening because, yeah, increase the track health even more. Why not? And the last thing that I'm going to say is that if you do want to go ahead and then reset your crew here, you can then click reset, and right here where it used to cost gold, it is now 100,000 credits, which is very, very nice. Retraining orders still exist, so if you have a load of these saved up, you can still use them, and it'll be exactly the same as if you spent 100,000 credits. Much better quality of life feature. Thank you. Then the next thing we're going to look at is the armor flashlight. This got a massive buff in this update. We can now go ahead and choose the tank that we want to see that is firing against us. And we can also go for penetration chance, which is going to show the true chance of where to pen and where we cannot. Not only that, we can also change the ammo type so that heat rounds, for example, 100% we're going to go through here. With APCR, not so much. So this is an easy way and very, very similar to what we have on Tanks GG, where you can go and see the armor model in-game now. I will say Tanks GG one is much better in my opinion, not only because it looks a lot better and it's just easier to use, but it's also, it just feels a bit clunky, this one. The actual effective armor that you're looking at is still not at the top of the screen where the mouse cursor is, and it's in the middle for whatever reason, which is not intuitive at all. If I'm looking at something and I'm thinking, okay, how much do I need to go through here, for example, I'm instantly looking at the top of my mouse cursor or the top of the box, not down the bottom where it says above ricochet. So if those two could be flipped, that would be a lot better, I think, for user experience. But it is good that we finally have this in the game and we can see easily where we can and cannot pen and change the tank, etc. It's a massive step in the right direction. Next, there is a new subscription tier to WoT Plus called WoT Plus Pro. I cannot wait for WoT Plus Pro Max Ultra Extreme Extraordinaire. Now, important thing to note is that this is a 180-day, so half a year plan, or a 1-year plan. Now, the pro benefits are going to be that you can turn any tank that is researchable, so excluding premium vehicles or reward vehicles, this also includes collector's vehicles, into a semi-little pseudo-premium tank. You'll get 35% combat, XP, and credits to that one vehicle, and you can change that vehicle every 12 hours. This is not for all vehicles, this is just for one vehicle alone. So, for example, if I want to boost up the Type 5 Heavy, for instance, I click here, I click Pro Boost, I then click Switch, and then I have it here. And my Type 5 Heavy is now earning that 35% bonus. This does work in every single battle type as well. Random battles, onslaught, strongholds, global map, and tournaments. And it will stack with other boosters, as you can see here. Another feature is that you can customize your service record here, so you can change the background and also the ribbon here. So by default, I believe it's got the default one and then red. So this is what it would look normally. And then you can go through here and then change it to any one of these. So legendary could have this. And then bang, you got yourself a different service record. I'm quite liking the gold with the black ribbon, actually. This looks really clean. Now, I'm not personally against locking this behind a paywall, but I would have liked to see this in the normal tier of WoT Plus. Rather than having to pay for the more expensive tier, this would have been much better just to give players who are supporting you monthly to have this. Stuff like this where it's just customization and aesthetics is super, super nice to purchase for money because it doesn't do anything bad towards the game like pay to win. It's just nice to have. And then the final benefit of the Pro is that you will earn more Battle Pass points per game. As you'll see here, this is the new amount of points that you'll earn per game mode. And that's it. That is all the Pro features. I think that it's not really that interesting, if I'm honest. This should have been in just the normal one, in my opinion. And then the other two, fair enough. Get it if you want to get it. And if we actually go down to the very bottom here, it will tell you about the subscriptions. So the Pro one will actually include all the core features by default. So that means you wouldn't have to be running just a core one and then also then pay half a year or a year worth for the Pro version. Now the core one is going for around about £8 a month, so I'm guessing this will probably be the equivalent of anywhere from £10 to £12 a month. I'm guessing if you've done the 360-day plan, it'll probably work out the equivalent of just paying for core for a full year. At least that would make sense in my mind. But we have no idea about the actual cost of this yet. So is this a good thing? I don't know. I think we have to wait and see. I'm not really too worried about extra subscriptions in the game, as long as they're not super, super pay to win. And none of what is in there truly is. Yes, you can progress slightly faster, and some people may see that as pay to win. Fair enough. But it's not like you're gaining another premium tank, which is just outright OP. So I feel this is actually okay at its current point. But who knows what they might add to it in future? You never know. And the main thing is that you don't need this to be competitive in World of Tanks. You don't need World of Tanks Plus to be competitive in World of Tanks. The one thing that I've always said, buy premium time. If you're not going to buy anything else, just buy premium time. You can do that by buying Christmas loot boxes each year, and then with the gold, you can then buy the battle pass, etc. And you'll probably have enough premium to last you the full year. Or you can just buy premium as and when you need it. But premium time is really the only one that you actually need in this game. At least in my opinion, to be somewhat sane in World of Tanks. Lastly, there is a new battle pass chapter, which the UI looks horrible in my opinion. I don't like this at all. Everything is way too big. There is apparently a new premium vehicle here, the Carmen de Bazonte. I don't know. We then have the normal battle pass, which is going to be the Tessac, the Gorilla, and then also the E5. And then the Elite Circuit is coming back as well. To be fair, I don't think I hate the bottom bit here. This isn't too bad, but this text is way too big on the left-hand side. We then have Steel Hunter coming back and also Neon Dash. I'm not really massively into the limited time game modes. I don't really enjoy Steel Hunter, if I'm honest. This is not because Steel Hunter is bad, but because I've played more than enough PUBG in my lifetime that I don't want to play another Battle Royale. And Neon Dash was actually quite fun the last time I played it, but it got boring pretty quickly. I haven't actually played it yet, so I'm not going to speak about this too much. But that is basically update 2.2 completely done. There is one more thing that I want to point out for those of you that do maneuvers, is that it will be returning in spring. I don't know when this is, but there you go. Anyway, this was just a very quick video about this update because a lot of people have been asking me in my stream, twitch.tv/MaxGamingFPS. But now everything is in one video, so it's easy to get to. Thank you very much for watching. See you on the next one.